Hello, welcome to another episode of Battle Topics. I'm your host, Clayton. Today, we have a very special guest, owner, president, CEO, whatever you want to call him, King of the Dots mastermind, Organik. Organik, what's up, what's up?
You make me sound good, man.
Hey, yo, King of the Dot, put your money where your mouth is. World Domination 6. We got a title match. Make some motherfucking noise, yo!
Okay, so Organic, obviously there's like a ton of topics that we could talk to you about, but one of the main ones that I wanted to talk to you about was obviously you're the owner of arguably one of the top leagues in the entire world, and with all the little leagues popping up and a lot of competition at everywhere you turn, I just wanted to ask you a pretty simple question. What is the most difficult part about growing or building a league in a somewhat diluted subgenre of hip hop?
You know, there's a lot of difficult things that really come with running a league. It's funny, man. I really think battle leagues from the outside look like they're kind of easy to run and operate. But, I mean, every machine looks easy running from the outside. It's when you open it up and see the components that kind of makes things a little more difficult. One of the most important things I think is, having a good infrastructure, having a good staff and teammates and people that are kind of have the same vision and goals as you, and people that you can be open with and talk about things and everything like that. It's super important to have a strong team. I think that's, the one thing that's pushed King of the Dot and excelled King of the Dot is that people that are involved in it have been involved for such a long time, have a grasp understanding of just everything that's kind of happened throughout the history of battle rap. We all have a good core basic understanding of it all. So us together, when we think of things and want to talk about things, it's not just like one person's view of it all. There's really a bunch of people from all over the world and their perspective and views. So we get a lot of broad opinions and everything that kind of help us see things from different lights. And I think that's the main thing that's kind of made us stand out. It's not always about being the most vocal, you know what I mean? It's what you're doing kind of on the back end that makes you strong.
You started King of the Dot on the street in parks. You're working at a steel mill full time and building this from the ground up. So you've obviously seen the transition from the smallest of the small all the way to the pretty much the peak that it's at now. So what do you think is like the main difference when it comes to like the idea of a battle rap league from when you first started and when battle rap was first in like its infancy all the way up until now?
I mean, I think the most important thing about it is, the financials involved in it now. Back in the day when we were first starting out, it was more purely for hobby, and I think it was just a lot more different. The competition involved was a lot more raw. People wanted to do it just to prove they were better than someone else, where, these days it's kind of more of a money game with anything as it grows and gains more popularity and everything like that. So, when we were first starting out, it was just a lot more authentic. I just mean in the sense of people's views on battle rap weren't this, oh, well, I could jump in and make money off this. It was like, oh, this cool little thing happening. This is interesting. I like it. How can I be involved? So I think the intentions were a lot different with everybody involved back then in comparison to how they are now. If I were to try to start a league in 2017, it would be tough because, again, you're going to be dealing with people whose brains are kind of already washed in this world of battle rap and everything, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think every person would be a trial and error basis, but back in the day, I feel like it was just a lot more authentic. It was as simple as posting on a forum. You didn't have to worry so much about a turnout or selling tickets or doing this. It was really just, who's going to win? Let's say if 40 people only showed up, that was fine. If 300 people showed up, great. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. It wasn't anything like that. It was just pure competition based upon the rappers, and we were just a platform and the excitement to make it happen and facilitating all of that, where these days you have to take in all sorts of benefactors from the people you're being associated with, who's being troublesome with who's going to be blogging, who's going to be doing this, can you trust this person, how much money does this person want, what can we afford, what's YouTube bringing in. There's just so many things going into it now that would just kind of not make it the same type of aura or feeling as, we had when we first started it. And to be honest, I think these days would be a little more difficult just based off the sense of it's not fresh. It's not as exciting as, when something's brand new for the people that all started, it's not saying that it's not as exciting. I think battle rap is actually at its peak of excitement right now as far as like the rappers and the skill level and everything. I just mean as far as being like a league owner, the excitement of not knowing the end goal or not knowing anything like that. I think when you have a startup company and you don't really know where you're going with it or anything or the possibilities that can come out of it, I think it's just one of those unknown and exciting feelings, the adrenaline rush of like, just like, holy, did I just think of doing this? And what's going on? Where now a lot of these people have the blueprint already created, so they don't get to go through those trial and error tribulations, which, sometimes were daunting, but at sometimes were also fun and let us learn a lot about the culture itself.
One thing that I've noticed is if you compare from when you first started to now, before leagues were just a platform that hosted a certain battle, but now it's almost become as important for the battle on which league it's on rather than which battlers are facing each other. Do you understand what I mean? So when it comes to booking a specific battle, which one do you think plays more of a role?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think, having like a huge main event, main type battle happen on the smaller leagues, you're really, as a league, you should be understanding that you're kind of limiting the reach and the potential of that battle. That's something you need to understand. And I may understand that it may be good for your league. It may be good for the growth of your league. But at the end of the day, you're kind of poaching off someone else to benefit for yourself because you're hoping that these big battles benefit you, but you're not really looking on how you're going to benefit these big battles. And now you can benefit them financially, but, if that's your goal, I think as a league owner, your goal should be to kind of improve everybody's stance of where they are in battle rap. If you're setting up a battle, you should be hoping every battle you set up improves that person's position, pushes them a little step further. So, I just look at it like that. If I think that a battle would have more potential on another platform, I'll leave it to that platform. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be interested in myself to be booking like a battle like a Hollow and Lux, just based on the sense that I knew that had more potential on another platform. We had not dealt with these battlers before. They had no prior history to our platform or anything like that. So yes, it would have been great. Yes, it would have helped us in a great deal. But do I think it would have been the best thing to happen for those two? Probably not.
So when it comes to actually booking a battle and working with the battlers themselves, what kind of leverage does the platform or the league have over the battlers themselves? Is there like some sort of does that play into the conversation that, yeah, you could get X amount on this league, but our league offers X, Y, and Z? How does that necessarily work from your standpoint?
Which is hilarious, bro, because in battle rap, it actually works backwards in how it works in any other sense of business. For some reason, people feel like the bigger the league, battle rap, I understand that if we were on like a real corporate level, that and there's real big money being involved, that the bigger league should be paying more. But let's be realist here. Battle rap is still a subgenre of hip hop, and you know what I mean? It's created its own little market, but it's a niche market. So, you got to look at it like this. Like, as a rapper myself, longevity is everything. Short-term exposure and everything is great, but longevity is everything. So you got to just see where that stands in that point. Hold on, what was your initial question? Sort of I got lost.
What's
my own train of thought.
What's the leverage that the league has over the battlers themselves? Because you guys it's almost like you guys both have each other by the balls and see which one's going to squeeze first, because you both offer something that the other one needs. You know what I mean? Yeah, well,
that's what I was getting to, the longevity. So, with a company that can kind of brand you in a way, there's some rappers I deal with, and they're the ones I see are being successful these days, and they've kind of learned the game earlier than most. They understand that being on a certain platform can get you more money on other platforms. You know what I mean? So when I deal with said rapper, I'm not going to say their names, you know what I mean? But and they deal with me and they're like, yo, I got you on the low because I know that doing this battle on your stage is going to help me get a couple extra racks on other ones throughout the year. And that's playing the game smart because they understand that the brand is helping keep their name within relevance at the top core, rather than just kind of diluting their name everywhere. So it works hand in hand. There's some people that think that, the bigger the platform, well, I got this much on this league. How come y'all are only giving me this much? It's like, well, shit, we're providing you with this that other league doesn't. This. Like there's a lot of differences. You know what I mean? A lot of leagues don't really use PR firms and stuff like that. People like King of the Dot, we do. We make sure that, when we have a major event, your name's going to be publicized on big blogs and sites and stuff, because that's what we're investing into. So there's a lot more to it than just the face value of it.
So whenever you first started, there was obviously a lot less competition and there was a lot less options for battlers to reach out to. But nowadays, there's obviously a lot more. What is like the biggest struggle when it comes from battlers separating themselves, or battle leagues separating themselves from other battle leagues? Like what strategies do you guys try to take to separate yourself from the rest of the crop?
We just do us, man. I mean, I leave it to other people. It's like, I've always looked at us as kind of like as innovators in this, as far as, stuff that we do to push the culture forward, stuff that we do, like, and it just everything from event concepts to Grand Prix, to titles, to the, what I mean? We had the 2-on-2 Grand Prix early in the day. We had beatbox battles, DJ battles. Like, our event concepts, I think, are kind of second to none as far as standing out. And other people can try to replicate it, but it almost comes off as like corny now, because everybody knows that we're the ones that kind of do themed events and have built these things, from the Gully Organic series to Blackout to World Domination to the Bunker. You know what I mean? Everything's kind of a little bit unique, enough to keep people's interest in watching what's going to happen at the next one. If we did Blackout every event, it wouldn't be exciting every event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having a good cycle of that stuff is good, and then you have events like Massacre, where it's just a real raw, authentic card and stuff like that. There's real no theme or gimmick or anything behind it to make it exciting, and it works out well. I think that we've kind of really seen that from an outside perspective and seen how it benefits us. And that's what I feel makes us stand out.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I've also noticed, though, that's been seeming to grow in recent times is fans are starting to pin leagues against each other, whether the leagues want to or not, and whether they think leagues have beef or need to have a beef for one reason or another. What's your take on that?
Man, fuck the other leagues, and if you run another league, fuck you too. No, I'm playing. That's a joke, bro. But you know what I mean? It's nothing really, bro. I think a lot of people try to pin leagues against each other. It just adds another form of competition within the scene. I think a lot of people are more intrigued by the URL versus KLCD imaginary beef than they are that some of the battles that happen. It's one of the things that's always keeps shit interesting, and I appreciate that. I've always look at other things that are similar and see how things happen. And back when mixed martial arts had like, two different platforms like Pride and MMA and everything, Pride and UFC, it just made it exciting. It's like, well, what if this guy were to fight that guy? And it gave you something to talk about. I look at it like this: the Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao effect. The fact that these two didn't fight for so long and they kept their names at the top in people's mouths for so long, it made them the two premier names in boxing. Yeah. Because there was always what if, you know what I mean? And no one could and people would debate it all day, and then the fight happened, and all of a sudden you're left with nothing to debate anymore, and it became stagnant and boring to bring their names up anymore because there's no more. So I think that's what's good about the league beef, is the fact that it creates this enticing what if factor with matchups. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, that battle may have happened there, but what if it would have happened on King of the Dot? Then who would have won? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes shit exciting for me as a viewer, as I'm just watching. I'm at the end of the day, bro, as much as I run a fucking league and everything like that, I'm still a fan. And if I wasn't, the day I'm not a fan of this shit no more is the day I won't do it. So I just try to be what makes things most exciting for me as a fan, and I try to get those to go in practice. And I feel like the league beefs, we know there's us and URL and Don't Flop and stuff like that. There's no real beef. If we all see each other, we'll sit down and have dinner together, and you know what I mean, chat and talk shit, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's not like a real thing, but it's the inner competition of the fans and the battlers, and that's a good thing to have.
Mm-hmm. So what do you say to the fans that say that there needs to be like a league versus league card and like a winner takes all type deal? Like it doesn't seem that it would even financially make sense, or like what platform hosts it, and like who's gonna take
the only way that would ever work is if it was an annual series to happen once a year for bragging rights, or else, because no league is going to want to do it just to have the one person be like, oh, we beat you guys, I'll never do it again. Like, that shit's just,
Yeah.
If it's two leagues on a respectable platform, it would need to be happening as an annual series, per se, King of the Dot versus URL. But it goes in a lot deeper than that, man. You really got to think about how everything's going to be split, from the funding to to the revenue streams and then you have going from however many staff normally run an event, and then you got to double that staff for running the one event. And, you're not going to have money to compensate people the way that you normally do, because there's twice as many hands now in the pot, too many chefs and not enough kitchens, man.
Mm-hmm. One thing that you preach a lot is wanting to bring judging back to battling. And with how subjective battling is now, if you were to throw any kind of card, let alone that kind of card, just to judge something like that would be like next to impossible, because with all the factors of crowds and location and timing, there's so many variables that it would be super difficult.
Yeah, it'd be insane, bro. It'd be a year's. It took HBO and Showtime, I think, 3.5 years of negotiations to finally come to an understanding of where they can sit to make Floyd and Manny happen. And I only reference that because I paid attention to kind of like the business that was going on to kind of see a similar scenario happening in battle rap, right? And that's what I mean. There's just so many variables you got to consider as far as like, who's going to be paying for what promotion, who's going to be paying for this content to be made, where's it going to be released, what's going to be happening after they happen, where, like, there's just so much stuff. You never know, man. And then if things don't go right, then what? Then you have a real issue between the two leagues, and that's only going to hurt the battlers, because then it's going to turn into like, you fuck with them, we don't fuck with you type scenario, and that don't benefit anybody anyway.
Yeah.
Like that's just, it's not benefiting to anybody but the leagues if it gets like that. And again, if I'm only doing this to benefit myself, I might as well just go get another fucking job, because that's where I can benefit myself selfishly and not have a million people headhunt me for doing it. Right, so I just don't feel the need to go that route unless it's worked out on all ends.
Kind of to switch gears a little bit, one thing that King of the Dot has done before that fans also have fixated on frequently is the appearance of quote-unquote mainstream artists coming back to battling. What's your opinion on, will that ever happen again? Do you think it should happen again? And if so, like, what would be the ideal situation for that?
We've seen it a couple of times. We've seen how it pans out. If a mainstream artist wants to come battling King of the Dot, they're going to have to work their way up. It's like, look, man, there's different scenarios, okay? Like, if a real big artist wants to battle a rapper and they're going to be reasonable and stuff like that, like, sure, I'd be interested. As far as breaking the bank to make it happen, no. I've said it before. I'd much rather see the money go to the people that are working within the battle scene, that work hard to keep the scene going, rather than someone that's going to make a pit stop, pick up money, and run. I don't think that benefits anybody, because usually they don't take it serious enough to perfect it and everything like that. And I don't think that they're ever good enough to have replay value, just because this is a different world, You're not going to go on stage and perform your first set incredible, the best you ever can. And you're not going to come in battle rap for your first battle and be the best you ever fucking can. Again, it's one of those things that's not going to have any longevity to it. It's good for the moment. It's exciting for the moment. But when it's all said and done, usually people got a sour taste in their mouth, and it's non-beneficial to really anybody. We understand it. It's just battle rap is an art that needs to be perfected. And for a league to be breaking the bank to make these happen, I think battle fans themselves will be more happy if the money was kind of just spent on overall making a big card happen. That's kind of a similar situation that happened with Blackout 5. We were going to book something really big and then decided to kind of just be like, you know what, let's spread it out and just make a good all-around card.
Yeah, totally. So to wrap up this topic a little bit, pretty much every year you get the similar questions of what do you think of like the status of battle rap and where it's going to go. But as of right now, 2017, where do you want to see King of the Dot, or where do you think battle rap can get taken within the next year?
I think, everyone's kind of in a state. I don't know if you guys know this, but leagues seem to be focusing more on the hunger these days than the names, which is good. And that's what I think needs to happen. There needs to be progression. If we keep relying on the same names over and over again, there's going to be no progression. I'd like to just see, the hunger back, everything like that. I think, battle rap is never meant to be like super commercial and mainstream. And I think when people have that goal, you're kind of taken away from the authenticity of what it really is. And yes, it'd be nice to have everyone pay good and everything, but reality is, the end of the year is only, 9 months away. Do I think it's going to be mainstream by then? No. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a realist, and I can see things at that value. But, I'd like to think that it's progressed, gotten a little more popular. I'd like to think that fans themselves are a little more open to taking in the new names and being as excited about them as they are the names that they were kind of forced upon when battle rap was new. And I don't mean forced upon like, oh, watch this guy or nothing, but a lot of the big names are big names because they were just around when it was just becoming popping and exciting, and that's what people got used to seeing. That's their comfort zone. That's their comfort level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and battling seems to kind of be more of like a catapult to another successful venture rather than a final end goal. Like, oh, I'm the best battle rapper, I can retire off this and I can just live off of this the rest of my life. But it seems like if you use it correctly, we've seen plenty of instances within the past couple of years that successful battlers have taken their talents to other mediums that they're actually able to eat off of day in and day out.
Yeah. And hey, man, you gotta leave yourself open for those opportunities to be available for you. You know what I mean?
When it comes to like the fact that battling has been around for quite a while now on YouTube and all these other platforms, a lot of the top tiers are kind of running into the issue of that they've battled a lot of people, that matches are kind of slimming down for them. Whenever it first started, the matches were kind of, no pun intended, but organic, where they had like a storyline behind them and they kind of had history build up. But a lot of those matches have kind of seemed to hit their peak or have already happened. So what do you think now of like the importance of storylines within battling, or should it just be name versus name constantly?
No, storylines are always been needed, and I think that's why it's so important for people to accept these new people in the scenes. Mm-hmm. And I think, a lot of these young new names are coming up. There's a lot of stories to be made. They're coming through. These are the best of the best. To make it in battle rap on these big stages anymore, you're not getting free opportunity. It means you earned it and you worked for it. So creating storylines with these young up-and-comers, I think last year the Jonai Psychosis scenario was perfect.
Yeah.
Two up-and-comers that people had their eye on Jonai and stuff like that, and everybody knew Psychosis was good. And that's what kind of, it was a thing. Psychosis didn't have as big of a name as Jonai, just based off the initial buzz that Jonai's kind of debut shocked everybody. I think it was cool. They called each other out in the forums and stuff like that, and I think that needs to happen more. I think battle rappers have got way too content and way too fucking comfortable just being them. You know what I mean? Being in their position. Like, look, people are coming for your spot, and you better be gunning for someone else's fucking spot, or else you ain't exciting. I don't give a shit. If you want to sit comfy with your feet up, I'm not excited to watch you. I'm excited to see you defend your position, and I'm excited to see you take somebody's position. That's what makes battle rap fun. And if you ain't out here to do that, I don't even want to fuck with you at this point. And I think that's what makes Blackout so exciting, is that we have 17 people, at least on this card, who are willing to sacrifice their opportunity and their spot on that list in order to maybe move up just one spot. They're willing to sacrifice it all to move up one spot. To me, that's exciting. These guys make or break on this card, that's exciting. I like watching shit like that. I like to know if you fuck up on this, he may be done for good. You fuck up, if you capitalize on it, I'm excited to see what happens in the future. That's what makes it fun.
Totally off topic.
So the first off-topic question I have is more of one that I've just been curious about. With all the battles that you have booked, is there one battle that you think if you would have booked it a different time and place that there would have been a better outcome? And if so, which battle?
Damn, that's good. You know what? Probably the DNA Disaster rematch.
DNA Disaster, yeah. I mean, that was kind of well, obviously we didn't know who his mystery opponent at the bunker was going to be, but I feel like, yeah, especially with the history behind Diz and DNA, if Diz had time to prep rather than freestyle against him, it may have been a good like piggyback or part two of the original. Yeah.
I just think they both would have kind of gunned for each other a lot more, knowing the scenario and knowing what was riding on the line, and especially, I'll admit with that. I'll take the L on that.
I mean, it was still a good battle all in all. Okay, but Anyways, the other question, this one's a little more lighthearted, but okay, so obviously you get a lot of requests to return to battling, which you have openly stated that is not in your foreseeable future. But if you could guarantee the Raiders have a spot in next year's Super Bowl, but you had to return to one battle, would you do it, and who would you battle?
Shit, man. That's a good question. You know what? I'd probably say no, because I feel like the Raiders can make it to the Super Bowl next year anyway. If you asked me 2 years ago, I probably would have sold my arm for that.
Yeah.
I think, but if I were to come back and battle again, I need to have history. I need to be motivated. I haven't been motivated. I haven't even wrote lyrics in a long time, and that's so weird to me, because if you were to, when I started King of the Dot, if you were to sit me down and be like, look, this is going to be the reason you stopped rapping, I probably would have never started it, because I loved rap that much. I used to skip school to rap, you know what I mean, and just whatever. It was just like a part of my life. My focus changed. I think if I were to ever come back, it would have to be kind of something that I'm really motivated to do, either not even so much like a personal vendetta, because I don't think those ever really motivate me. That just makes me never want to give an opportunity to someone. Heck, and you know what I mean? If I dislike someone, I'll never try to give you a chance to one-up me on anything. I'm going to catch you when you're slipping or something. But like, I think, maybe battling Diz again would be fun or cool or something like that. But you got so much more experience than me now that I feel like, I'd probably be setting myself up for a death wish. But at the same time, man, at the same time, that battle turned me and Diz into, he's one of my best friends these days. So I think, it'd be a little bit different kind of with the approaches we take, and it'd just be fun for us too, more than the fans or anything. But I'm not too sure who I'd come back for. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so this kind of piggybacks off of that question a little bit. If you could have one battle rapper that has been inactive for over 2 years come back to a world domination stage, which one would you choose?
That's weird, man. I've always had this, like, people are going to think I'm so weird for this. I'm a Scribble Jam nerd, man. Like, I was a big fan of Scribble Jam and everything when I was young, and I always really liked this guy named Jack Cracker. I always thought Jack Cracker was, like, someone who would have excelled in this format just from his enunciation and everything like that, and just kind of, like, the way he emphasized simple words and his writing style and everything. I think it really suited battle rap. But, he's been gone for a long time, so I'd probably say Locksmith, man.
Locksmith? Yeah, I think I've seen that request a lot. That and, like, SoulCon, and obviously you guys got Dumbfounded back. And
I mean, SoulCon would be cool, but here, like, I don't think SoulCon, I think he's kind of, like, really against the idea of battling and everything and kind of what it stands for these days. I think it's kind of, like, his life direction changed and everything, so I don't know if we would get the same SoulCon back, but I feel like Locksmith is still hungry as ever. I still see him on the music hustle and everything, but if SoulCon were going to come back with a killer vibe and everything and be out for blood rather than shit, then I think, he would definitely be one of my top choices as well.
Awesome. Okay, so next question. Obviously, King of the Dot is a Canadian-based battle league. So out of all the Canadian stereotypes there are, which one do you think is the most inaccurate, and which one do you think is the most accurate?
Inaccurate is, it's weird. It depends what city. I guess, like, how about this? You name some stereotypes, and I'll tell you if they're true or not. Because being from Canada, it's weird. I don't really know some people will be like, oh, well, this is a Canadian stereotype. And I'm like, really? I ain't never heard that before. Oh, yeah. I'll break some down. The people that say a boot, those are Eastenders. Those are from the east side of Canada. So if they're from, like, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick or Prince Edward Island, you probably talk like that. Like, you can hear Pat talk like that, right?
Yeah.
That's like that, where that stereotype comes from. But all of Canada is not like that. I feel like Toronto's very Americanized.
I've noticed that the whole A and the sorry and stuff like that, I picked up on that pretty quick. I wouldn't say it's as prominent as people make it sound, but it's definitely there.
Oh, for sure. We say sorry a lot. I mean, I notice Americans just are kind of, it's weird. Not to say like you guys are rude, but there's just the basic core understandings of like manners. You know what I mean? If someone says thank you, like the response is you're welcome. You know what I mean? It's not like, yep. Like sometimes you're keep an American, I'll be like, thank you. And they're like, yep. And it's almost like, all right, you know what I mean? We're in Canada, you're like, thank you. Someone's like, you're welcome. It just makes it seem like they acknowledge your nice gesture of you know what I mean? When someone just says, yeah, it's like, I could have said whatever. I could have, held the door open for me, fuck your mother. And it'd be, yep. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, there's no, it's not even like acknowledging what you've said or the fact that you've appreciated them and that you've gone out of your way to thank them. You know what I mean? So there's definitely that. The A, I notice once in a while. I feel like certain people, again, use it more than others. You know, when you know, Toronto A is very prominent.
And also one thing that I've heard you talk about is like the amount of generosity that Canadians have, where they're like super, not so much gullible as they are just like, they have a lot of faith in like humanity itself, and they like are openly trustworthy, whereas Americans think just everybody's like out to get them, or it's like, well, what does it have to do with me, or like what do I gain from this? You know, Canadians are kind of the opposite in that regard.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that. You know, Canadians are people that are like, hold the door open from you when you're like just getting out of your car and fucking, you know, 20 feet away from the door. It's weird at that. People kind of up here just enjoy trying to break the perception that all humans are pieces of shit, which is an awesome thing to be around when you see people doing stuff like that. You know, it just kind of gives you like all right, man, maybe the world ain't so fucking bad after all feeling and shit. I just find that's a lot more prominent up here. People are just open to help people out a lot quicker. You know, a car's broken down on the side of the road. A lot of times you may not even need to call someone for help. People will stop and help you and put your, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Americans will be like, well, that sucks. Hate to be him.
Yeah, exactly. Drive by him, like, damn. You know? Which
someone else will do it.
Because you never know what you never know what situation may come of it. That may be a trap or something. But I feel like, you know, more people are inclined to help someone than, I mean, I had a weird situation like that one time, man. I was driving home and it was real late at night, and I was on like a back road. I'd just gotten off the highway, and it's a back road that not many cars are on. There's a car on the side of the road, and there was a girl in the car, and she had her four-ways on. So I drove by it, and I was like, oh shit, it looks like that person's stranded. Maybe their car broke down. I was just going to turn around and be like, yo, you need help or a cell phone or something? And as I pulled up to the car, the girl like rolls up her window and starts screaming, get away. I was just like, oh, all right.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Like the guy was going to do something. I was like, damn, I was actually just going to offer you help, but I guess not. I'll be on my way.
Yep, I mean, I could see both sides of the coin, but all right. So we'll move on to the last question. Obviously, we have Blackout coming up. You've been vocal about this upcoming title match. It seems to be one of a different caliber, a style clash of all style clashes, if you ask me. What do you think is so important about this title match, especially? What do you have any idea of like what kind of outcome is going to come from these two finally meeting face to face?
I have no idea, but I think that's gonna what makes it amazing is sometimes people are like, well, how are you gonna judge a battle like this? They're so different. And say, exactly, you're gonna see what style stands out more. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens in style clashes. One style becomes more dominant than the other in a certain fashion. You know, these are longer rounds, so these should be able to show the difference in the two rappers. They should, with this time, be able to sell yourself better than your opponent. And that is the goal of a judge battle. Yeah, I'm excited for it. Had Ice and Roan with the match, I'm not going to lie, man, I was a little skeptical on it at first, but the more and more I think about it, the more and more excited I become of it. And I'm actually not, and I'm not just saying this because it's coming up. I'm more excited about this actual title match than I have been for a while because I really don't know the outcome. And I'm one of those people, I don't ever like thinking of outcomes because I'd rather just take it as it takes it. When I try to think ahead of time, I may become biased. So I'm excited just to see what happens. And when, you know, we crown a champion that day, whether it still be Roan or whether it be Ice, I'm excited to see the possibilities that we can explore with them as our champion for the next couple months.
Yeah, that's one thing that I look at whenever I see a title match is not so much who is going to win, because obviously one is going to win, but what happens after, what outcome will come afterwards, and what will they be able to bring to the league? Because obviously once you become title holder, you kind of become like the face of the league, and your spot changes from trying to climb up the mountain to now you're just defending the spot. And I talked to Roan a little bit about this on our episode of he goes from, instead of battling other battlers, he's now battling the history of the chain and what more has he brought to the league than other title holders and all that kind of stuff. So that's always an interesting variable to take into account.
Definitely, man. And it's good to see Rome benefiting from having the chain. A lot of people always say, like, oh, well, who cares what the chain is? Like, man, you should ask the champions and what they're able to do with their lives because of it. That's the difference, you know? I'll let Rowan speak on that, but, you know, the chain holds a lot of value in different ways, you know, it provides a lot of opportunity. It's an exciting thing to have as a rapper, and especially in 2017, what accolades are there really prominent in battle rap? It's not like you can slap, you know, I battled Thesaurus in 2009 on a resume, you know, but being able to say I was the champion of King of the Dot, you can put that on the resume. People, that's intriguing for people that create content, people that are creating movies, having you as a character being somewhere, having that attribute to, you know, your physical resume is a big thing. It adds value. It makes you credible. You've accomplished something that a lot of people are striving to do. You know what I mean? It means you're at the top of your craft. You're one of the best to do it. And I think that's what makes a lot of people outside of battle rap so intrigued by the champions, that, you know, all these crazy opportunities come from them, from movies to TV shows and everything like that. You know, having the title, being the champion of the battle rap world, that's a title that I think everybody would like to hold, right? And right now, with King of the Dot being the league and, you know, having a title and everything, that's what it stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Blackout 7, April 14th and 15th, going down live at the Capitol Event Theater in Toronto. One of the hungriest blackout cards to date. You know, a lot of hungry killers on here. Come out, check it out. Come see what the future's in hold for battle rap, 'cause it's going to be an exciting one. I'm excited for it. Some of the matchups we got are crazy. The two main events are crazy. Sharon got to defend his hometown turf against Averb. And Averb ain't fucking
Toronto
around.
debut, right, for
you know,
Averb,
Sharon's
right?
a big threat. Yeah, it's Toronto debut. And Averb knows this is a threat. Sharon's walking around, you know, boasting this title, you know what I mean? And no one's really been able to strip him of it, you know, and that can't sit well. You're not trying to be another one of those people he uses to kind of have that, you know what I mean? So Aber, he's excited. He wants to kill him. He wants to be the first one to kill him. So it's going to be dope.
And he's wrapping up potentially his battle career, and if he can go out on this high note and end a career on his way out, then that'd just be the icing on the cake, I could see.
For sure, man.
Oh, awesome. So April 14th, 15th, Toronto, you got pay-per-view, you got tickets, you got all kinds of stuff. You got video on demand. I guess we'll see everybody there, right?
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, peace, bro.
All right, peace.